Hi, I'm Susan and welcome to my channel. On this channel I typically talk about cross stitch, quilting, textiles, sewing notions and methods from the past, and I share my projects with you. And recently I've been looking at the 1840s and work baskets, sewing work baskets from that time period, and early stitching methods, especially of children during that time. And we're gonna dive a little bit more into that today, and what life was like for them. On today's episode, we're going to look at updates on the Mary 1840 St. Louis doll quilt project. We're going to take a peek at my WIPs. I am auditioning threads for another 1840 start that I want to share that with you. I have a doll quilt to share with you, and I have the giveaway winners from last week's 5,000 subscriber episode. Last week's episode was so fun. Thank you all for all your enthusiasm. So, Mary 1840 doll quilt experience. Mary of St. Louis, Missouri. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please check my episode 35. You'll get filled in on the details. I just have to start this episode by thanking you all from the bottom of my heart for the overwhelming response to this project. I'm just blown away. I really am. I had absolutely no idea that there would be so much interest, and I just am so filled with gratitude and appreciation for all of you who have taken an interest in experiencing this project with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was a huge leap of faith to start on this journey, and I had my set number of kits and I put them together, and I wondered, if anyone would be interested, but I thought I'll just put it out there. We'll see. I've had a few people ask about, can you teach us how to do some hand piecing or, something with quilting. The response was overwhelming. In fact, it was exceptionally overwhelming. It smashed through every expectation I had and then some. Thank you so much. Thank you. Truly from the depths of my heart, I am so excited to walk through this with you, and you have made the first stitches so successful and so meaningful to me, and I hope to everyone involved. And like I said last time, involvement can just be watching. You're involved if you're watching. You're involved if you're using modern fabric. You're involved if you're using the kit. You're involved any way that you are connected to this, you are involved. So please know that, and I mean that sincerely. And I'm just beyond thrilled. So, kit status. The kits sold out rather quickly, and I did leave an option for pre-orders as I saw that happening. The pre-orders are rapidly being worked on, but not without care. I've hired help, and we're putting these kits together, and I want them to be just as special and beautiful as the original set. Thank you for your patience as I work through all the details of this kit and accessing every little piece. I made this kit really special and full of small, tiny parts because I wanted you who were participating and using the kit to have the closest approximation to what was available in 1840. So I'm working through it. I'm going to send them out in batches in the order that the orders came in, and you will get your kit, I promise you. Now, the kits, the materials in the kits, because of the way the fabric industry works. The way the fabric industry works is so different than the cross-stitch industry, and I'm sure some of you are aware of this, but perhaps not all of you, so I'd like to explain it. Fabric industry works on a yearly timetable. So once or twice a year, there is an exhibition where people come and the new lines of fabric are showcased and shops purchase them. They pre-ordered them. Those pre-orders are then printed at the mills, and then that's it. Unless it's an exceptional case, that fabric is not reprinted. So when it's gone from the store and it's gone from purchasing access, it's gone. It's in somebody's home, it's in somebody's quilt, it's in somebody's stash. Having said that, I cannot repeat the exact same fabrics for every run of this project, but I want to assure you that I'm taking every care to make each run, each group that I put together as special as the one before. And it will be authentic to 1840. There might be slight variations, and what I mean is it might not be the exact same print on the brown, but it's going to be a lovely chocolatey brown. It might not be the exact same print on the pink, but it's going to be a gorgeous pink that was available in 1840. So please know that. Please be patient, and I really am taking a lot of care to make these special. So I hope you like them all just as much as every other one. I think they're all beautiful. Every one I've put together I feel is gorgeous, and I know you're going to love the experience. So anyway, now having said that, I have we've run out of the fabric for the first bag, and that is now gone. And you know, this was a fabric that I chose because of the urn, and I will talk about this vase, this urn. And so I did access another fabric that I find equally gorgeous. This is actually a fabric by Di Ford, for those of you who are familiar with her. She's a designer of early time period fabrics, and this is the second iteration of the scrap bag. And it has this absolutely gorgeous urn on it. And little pop of that early blue, and I think you're going to love this. Just it's absolutely beautiful. Now, why did I pick an urn? I want to share that with you now. So this urn fabric is actually a chintz, and it is coming from the early 1800 time period of fabric printing, when wood blocks were carved and then dipped into a dye and a mordant and affixed to the fabric. And this actually originated in India and Indonesia, and was brought to the Dutch companies, and then eventually migrated across Europe. That's a huge long story, but that's it in a nutshell. So most of the fabrics that Mary would have accessed were coming up the Mississippi River through New Orleans, and they were coming from England and France up to that area. And I have crafted this story of Mary, and she is an immigrant. Her family are immigrants from England, and they've settled in St. Louis, and we'll talk more about her story later on in the project. But there was a designer in the United States during that time period who was actually earlier in the century, but who was really well known, and his name was John Hewson. Now I'm going to insert a picture of John Hewson in here. Now, John Hewson was an Englishman, and he was living prior to the Revolutionary War in America, in England, and he was a fabric printer, and he used the wood block printing method. And he met up with Benjamin Franklin in his, Benjamin Franklin was frequenting Europe quite a bit during that time. And so he met up with John Hewson, and John Hewson's family basically begged Benjamin Franklin to take John back, because John did not support the fact that the king was sovereign and that his reign came through sovereign rights. And they were afraid for him because he was becoming more vocal. So they worked out a deal. Benjamin Franklin agreed to bring John Hewson back to the States. And in doing that, John Hewson brought his woodblock printing technology and all his knowledge. Now, that was highly illegal for him to do. That was against the law for him to bring that out of England. But he did, and he brought it to Philadelphia, and he started printing fabric in America. So he is one of the first fabric designer printers of this type in America. And I want to show you a panel that has been reprinted for use of one of his works. And this is a John Hewson. This is not an original. This is a reproduction. And so because of this story, and because John Hewson then became very involved in the Revolutionary War, one of his biggest patrons was Martha Washington. She loved his fabric. He started his own militia group to help fight the English in the Revolutionary War. So I just find it all very interesting. I think that story ties in with Mary's experience, or the experience of people in that time. They would have known about this. So that's why I picked an urn fabric for your scrap bag, and I plan to continue using urn fabrics for your scrap bag because I do think that the story is so interesting. Now, I have also crafted Mary to be the daughter of a dressmaker and the granddaughter of a milliner. So, you know, we can do anything if we're crafting the story. So I took every liberty that I could. Let me tell you also that the kit that you will receive, if you choose to use the kit, and the tutorials are on an 1840s sewing method. This is not a modern method. It's perhaps not a method that perhaps you haven't heard about it. I don't know. But it's extremely doable. It was a method that was used to teach children. And so I feel that it's a wonderful place for anyone to start. We are exploring stitching from an earlier time. We're pulling back the curtain of time. We're going back, and we're experiencing things that people from earlier days experienced. And I am so pleased with this method that I really feel like everyone is going to be successful, and you're going to work through the humps if there are any. This is not a sal. This is not a start along. This is an open-ended project. The tutorials that I've put together are going to be available on my channel indefinitely. You can start this project in the winter, and some people have already told me that's what they plan to do. You can start this project and work through it if you're working with a child and get to a point this summer and then pick it back up again next summer. It's completely open-ended and it's up to you. There are no rules. You make this work for you. I'm just making this available to you. It's a grounding experience in patchwork. Now, I want to read this lovely letter that I received, and I received so many amazing emails from people who have ancestry in St. Louis, who learned to stitch at their grandmother's knee. I mean, just the stories are heartwarming and endless. But I thought this one was so unique, and I wanted to share it with you. I just finished watching your video, and many reasons drew me to write you. First of all, I live outside of St. Louis, Missouri. Second, I love Americana, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this project struck me as something that is very Americana. Well, it is crafted. It is an American experience, although it's a fictional American experience. It is based on journals of people who did live a similar experience. So That's very true. Third, I want to learn how to quilt, and this project seems as a simple intro to it, and that is very an accurate assessment. Fourth, my 8-year-old niece and goddaughter wants to be the next Coco Chanel. Good for you. And I thought of her when you mentioned a young girl in your life. Fifth, Mary, even though fictional, made me think of my beautiful young niece. I won't say her name. I would love to share this with her, and I don't know if you still have packets. And I do have pre-ordered kits available. So I thought that was just kind of the capsule of what this whole experience is meaning to a lot of people. Now, the tools in the kit are what would have been available in 1840, but you are completely free to use modern materials, contemporary materials. There's no restrictions. And if you try the tools, because I think it's a valid experience to try the ways of the past, and you find they're maybe perhaps frustrating or they're not working for you, then you can move into more contemporary tools. There's very, very low restrictions on how this is done. And like I said, you can join at any time. The first tutorial is going to drop on July 10th. July 10th. If you have a kit and you want to start, go ahead. If you're using your own materials, go ahead. If your kit isn't to you yet, and I'm sorry, but I know I won't have everybody's kit to them by that time, you're welcome to watch and kind of get some exposure and a feeling for what this is going to look like. I want this to be comfortable. I want your feedback. If there's something that's maybe not clicking for a lot of people, I will do an additional helpful tutorial. I've done some additional closer look tutorials, just things that I think might perhaps be a challenge. Then later that week, I'm going to have a Stitched Stories episode. And the Stitched Stories episode will just be a very more casual, informal time where I'm going to be stitching. I'll be talking about the materials that I'm using and relating those to Mary, maybe giving some further explanation and perhaps comparing the materials that were used in the 1840s to what we have today. It'll just be fun. And if you're coming along on this ride and you're going to stitch on your cross stitch project and listen, awesome. This is a perfect venue for that. So the floss tube schedule will remain the same. Perhaps, I might do 2 a month, I might do 1. We'll just see how that all unfolds. And again, you do not need a sewing machine to do this. This is completely by hand. Please be kind and gentle to yourself. Don't give yourself expectations of perfection. This is a new skill. For some of you, it's a brand new skill. For some of you, if you're a child, I bet you haven't done this before. Maybe you have. If you're an adult, we put expectations on ourselves because we are adults, and don't. Just enjoy this as an experience and an opportunity to gain appreciation for all those old textiles that you see if you are a frequenter of antique stores and museums. Just realize that this is going to give you a really in-depth overview and hands-on, heartfelt connection to what the stitchers and those little tiny hands did way back when. Now we all talk about that in our when we stitch our samplers, because those little tiny hands were stitching letters and alphabets in their marking samplers. But we don't always relate it to all the other stitching that these young girls did. In order for us to connect and have a really exciting shared experience, because I do think if you all could connect with everybody like I get to, I'd love you to be able to do that. So I've created a hashtag, and I will put it in the description box, and I'll scroll it below here. It's hashtag #first_stitches. And that's going to be the repository of all of our activities, and I am going to give you some prompts. As this project rolls out and the kits are delivered and people are beginning and people have moved through and we're all at different phases in this, I think it'll be a fun place to go back and see the progress. And that's another thing I want to mention to you. Louise of Lou and Sue said, make sure you tell them that their very first stitched patchwork is going to look really different than the very last one they do to put this quilt together. And that is so true. You're going to see yourself improve right before your very own eyes. So on this hashtag #first_stitches, the very first prompt is something that I'd like everyone interested, everyone who's watching, anyone who's a part of this on any level, to go to that hashtag. I'd love you to post a picture and give a brief description of your first stitches experience. Maybe it was making clothing, maybe it was cross stitch, maybe this is your first stitches experience. You've never stitched anything before. Go there, just find something, maybe it's a picture of your grandmother. You know, she was the one who taught you how to stitch embroidery. You know, whatever your story is, I think if you know me, you know I'm extremely sentimental. I want my stitching to live on when I'm not here. I want the people, my family members, to be able to look back and understand why I was so driven to this and why I loved it so much. And so my stitching shows that, but my words will even show it in greater detail. So hop on over anytime after July 10th and start posting your first stitches story. And I think it's going to be really fun to be able to look back at those and see what everybody's posted and their experience, because it's all different. Now, I did want to connect that urn fabric to some samplers, and because this urn motif was not in isolation, just like everything. Urns and vases of this elegant style that John Hewson was printing were also being stitched. And I had this chart and I saw Jody of Trixie Tricycle. I just found out about this chart. She's already finished it, if you go to her channel to see. This is from Modern Folk Embroidery. It's called the Rose Bush Sampler 1817. And there is this absolutely gorgeous vase of flowers. Now this is Dutch, so that's not surprising. That influence of Dutch chintz was, I believe, influencing stitchery. I believe the fabric drove the stitchery, but I could be wrong. That's just my personal feelings. And then of course Anne Tong Uffendale. Two beautiful urns of flowers on that chart. This is, of course, a Hands Across the Sea sampler. Just gorgeous. 1835. So we're still in the early, this is very, very popular in the early 1800s. And then Queenstown Sampler Designs has a beautiful chart, and there's so many elements to this chart that I love, but the urn it's such a beautiful shape. 1835, Letitia Jane Andrews. Let's see if I can get that back here a little bit better. Of course, the gorgeous flowers and the house, but that urn right in the middle stands out. And I did have to look in sampler motif and symbolism at what the meaning of a vase or an urn was in samplers, and it says it represents femininity. It's German, Dutch, and Scottish vases have kind of these S-shaped handles. And the vase of flowers represents the tree of life. It's the source of life. The vase with a lily represents the Virgin Mary. And an empty vase or an urn represents someone who's departed and gone, has died, passed away, gone on. So I hope that gives you more excitement, more inspiration, more depth and meaning to this project. And please contact me if you have any questions that I haven't answered. And look forward to July 10th. I'm working diligently to get your kits together and get them out to you. Thank you so much again, truly, for the overwhelming response. And I'm excited. Let's take a look at my WIPs. As you know, I'm busy doing these kits, so I'm not getting a ton of stitching in, but I do want to share with you that Hannah Lancaster has a dress. She does have a dress. So here is Hannah Lancaster. As you know, I've been working on this year. She's my 1840s focus piece. I am using a Vase Soie d'Alger and 38 count Fuller's Teasel. It's my own conversion. And here are the threads. And look at little Hannah. She has a dress, and oh, look at those wrinkles. I did try to press it. I didn't want to smash it too much. So she has a dress, and I love the coverage. I'm very pleased. I went around and around because I do want to be more deliberate and be really pleased with my choices as I progress through a project, and I am very happy with the choice of this linen and thread combination. I think I told you last time that I tried to stitch from right to left, right to left, right to left. A couple times I cheated and went up, and I can actually see a little bit of color difference just because of the way the thread nap is laying, but it's fine. It's just little observations, just little things that I noticed. So I did order another skein of this because that dress almost took all of it. So pretty, and I'm just enjoying it. And this is kind of when I have a bunch done on the kits, when I've moved, worked hard on the kits during the day, I can sit down and put a few stitches in Hannah. So I'll keep working on her. I'm not going to go back to some of my other projects. I think she's just going to be my focus as I work through getting the kits together. But I am now in the process of collecting my my desired linen for Jane Parson. And I wanted to start Jane Parson. Now, Jane Parson to me is after a young girl did her marking sampler, like Mary Bretnall here. She would move on to more of a pictorial embroidery. And to me, that's what this is. There's no, although it does have an alphabet, it doesn't really have individual motifs that would have been used to mark linens in a home. But I just love it. And so I got the chart, and I am waiting for the wool. I'm trying wool on this one because on Mary Bretnall, I tried Goblin's, which was a thicker thread that would have been available in the 1800s. And I do almost have everything put together for those of you who wanted the kit. Now I want to try wool because that also would have been available in 1840. And so the Wishing Thorn is offering a packet of wool now. She did sell out, so I've pre-ordered that. I'm waiting for that to come. It's the De Aubusson wool, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. I did have a bit, and I thought I'm going to try it on some 30 count. I have some 30 count Riverstone, which was from Access Commodities, and I have some 30 count Swiss Cocoa. And I don't know the color palette of the wool that's coming from the Wishing Thorn, but I just wanted to check the coverage. And you know, I love this Swiss cocoa color. I love it. I'm hoping the wool will show up enough on it, but I wanted to do a little bit of stitching. Let's see if I can show you that so you can see it on each one, so that I could just really see which color I was going to like better. I went ahead and did my initial just because, you know, maybe I can use that on a little pin keep or something. You know, they're both lovely. I mean, this color really stands out on the, I'm sorry, this is Riverstone. Yes, on the Riverstone, this color wool. So I'll have to wait and see when the wool threads come from the Wishing Thorn, which linen I want to use. I do have enough of each of these to try. I have not done a wool cross stitch, and you know, as people who like textiles, and we're very tactile, you know, we're very sensory. We like the feel and the look, and so it was really neat. I mean, there was some kind of a pull. Now with the Goblins, you kind of have to give it a little tug to keep the X in place. There's not a tug, just a gentle, you know, pull to keep it in place. This, I didn't have any of that with the wool at all, and there was just such a, I don't know, it just felt really earthiness about pulling it through the linen, and the resistance that it gave, and I don't know, it was just really neat. I think I might get hooked on wool. I really liked it. Anyway, beautiful coverage. I couldn't go any higher of a count because that was, you know, that's really full coverage. So anyway, stay posted. We'll see when those come in. I'll let you know. I'll show you what I decide to do and where I go from there. I want to show you a doll quilt that I just finished getting the binding on. Now this doll quilt I did quite a while ago. It's called Mulberry Lane. It is a pattern by Betsy Chutchin, and on the back I have this gorgeous piece of chintz. Now this doll quilt is adapted from a very early 1800s style. You can see it's very simple. There's soft colors. There's not a ton of heavy piecing. It's not intricate. And those are actually just half square triangles. But yet it's just, I just think it's darling. And I had a lot of fun pulling fabrics because, you know, you audition each fabric out of what came out of my stash, and even though they're tiny pieces, I was really deliberate about the choices. I love the way the pink and the soft brown play together, and the blue, and then I threw in a tiny bit of purple, just because. So that is Mini Mulberry. Like I've said before, I really enjoy making doll quilts because they're relatively quick. They are an opportunity to explore a pattern or a design without investing a ton of time and money, and they're an opportunity to play with maybe a different color palette or different fabrics that maybe you haven't used before, and it's a good way to do that and not invest a ton of money into your efforts. So anyway, I love that color palette. It's very Jane Austen, and I think there's something very delicate about it. So after you look at a lot of old quilts, you start to recognize trends, and I also see some of those same trends popping up in samplers, and that's kind of what drove me to start a channel. And it initially was just the connection between textiles And I don't know which came first, but they were all definitely influencing each other and playing off of each other. So just like, early samplers, you can tell if it's hand-woven linen. If someone's saying that it's from early 1800s and it's obviously a machine linen, that's not true. So there's little uncoverings that we can make. Little things that we can use to decipher things. So I want to share the giveaway winners with you from last 2 weeks ago from my 5,000 subscriber video. And again, thank you for those of you who subscribe, who participate and are a part of this channel. Some of you've been with me from the very beginning, and I welcome all the people who are just joining me. It's just a lovely place to connect. And thank you so much. I wish I could give everyone a big gift. Maybe someday. I don't know. All right. So the giveaway winners are going to be given based on your Instagram name. And so the winter giveaway winner. Oh, and let me say, I need you to contact me. I will put my email below. You can also Instagram message me at Standley Susan or email me at smsquilter@comcast.net. I will link all that below. I need your address so I can mail these out to you. So please get in touch with me as soon as you hear your name called. Winter is Janelle Stowager 9517. That's Janelle Stowager 9517. I will also list these names in the description box. The spring giveaway recipient is Laverna Tomer 6313. Laverna Tomer. The summer winner is K Mo 1384. K Mo 1384. And the fall giveaway recipient is Tammy Toten 401. Tammy Toten 401. And the quilt giveaway winner is tamarapearce. Tamarapearce. So congratulations and thank you for participating. I had so many fabulous comments this last month, and if you ever, really, you could enjoy just reading people's comments off their channel videos. It's actually quite a bit fun. So next time, I will give you updates on Mary, and I will give you information on the project and whatever stage we are currently experiencing on the project. I'm going to give you progress on my projects if I get time for stitching, although I think I'm going to be busy kitting, but that's okay. I will share another quilt, and of course I will give you, updates on the First Stitches tutorials and stitched story episodes. So I'll keep you posted here, and in the meantime, make time for stitching, and I'll see you soon. Bye, friends.